M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to View from the Top Rope, where we discuss anything and everything in the wild and wacky world of professional wrestling. We got some big news right now.
Well, big news is, in the coming weeks, we are starting our own podcasting network.
Whoop, whoop.
It will be known as the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Yes, so we're going to have a couple of other podcasts on our network.
We will also be debuting another podcast on the network, but we'll be talking about them next week, so stay tuned. We'll have more big news for you. Monday, April 2nd will be the official launch of the podcasting network.
My name is Graham Bagshaw, and my co-host and creator of this podcast is proof that wrestling fans live with their parents, my 10-year-old son, Mason. So what you actually just listened to there was a recording from episode 38 of View from the Top Rope. And what we're going to play is, in a second, what actually was announced in A View from the Top Rope, episode 39.
But so we said we would debut another podcast we're adding, and we're men of our words. So the next podcast we will be debuting, there's way too many B's in all of these words I'm saying right now. And there's another one in the podcast, which is the MGB Wrestling Podcast with Graham and his son, Mason.
They're very good friends of the show. They ask questions every week, and solid questions, and they have a pretty good show, and we're happy to have them join us here on the Visionaries Wrestling Network.
We're excited about this, people.
We're very excited. This will be, of course, a PG-friendly show because Graham's son is only 10 years old. So, of course, you can listen to this with the entire family, and you don't have to worry about any, cuss words or...
Exactly. It happens.
It happens. But so we haven't nailed down exactly what their time slot will be. We're thinking it's going to be probably Saturday or Sunday. They also do reviews of their local indie promotion, Nova, which will also be on the network. So get excited for that.
Okay, Mason, so what do you think about all this then? What do you think about being part of the Visionaries Wrestling Network, being part of a network? We're going to be up on iTunes. How does that sound to you?
Well, it sounds pretty good because we just started this podcast a month ago, and
It's about 6 weeks now, but yeah, it's going quick.
And we're already in a network.
Yeah, and we've known about this for a little while as well, and we've had to stay quiet about it, and it's been kind of hard to do because it's been kind of really exciting, actually. Yeah. So anyway, let's just summarize quickly what we actually just heard in those two clips there. So we're going to be part of the Visionaries Wrestling Network, and they can be found at VIS WrestleNet, and it's going to start in April. And it's going to be 3 podcasts to begin with. It's going to be RJ, who's going to host the Ringside Rant on Monday, and he's at Raymond_VWN. And the guys from the Top Rope, at You from Top Rope, will be releasing their show as normal on Thursday. And we will be releasing either on Friday or Saturday, depending on when we can get things out. And we're still going to be at MGB Wrestling Pod. And I'm also still going to be available at Mr. Bagshaw.
Let's take a look at the card for episode 6. We will be reviewing WWE Fairfax, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. We will also have This Week in Wrestling News, Are You Smarter Than a 4th Grader, and Tweet of the Week and Podcast of the Week.
And in our first match, scheduled for
1-4,
we look at WWE Fairfax. Now, there's going to be some bonus material at the end of this podcast. Jackson actually came with us. It was his first experience. He's our 4-year-old son. He'd never been to a wrestling event before. He's never actually seen wrestling really on the TV either. He's played with Mason's figures. We got nosebleed seats. We sat right at the back, so he couldn't really see what was going on. But he could see all the entrances. And he had an absolute blast. He really loved it. It was a last-minute decision. I looked online. We could get 3 seats for $45. But when you paid all the Ticketmaster fees, it was $87. And I wasn't prepared to pay that. So we literally just turned up 20 minutes before the start. And I said to Mason, we might not even get in. We did. There was actually quite a few seats. I was surprised how many seats were still available. And we got 3 seats. So, do you want to talk us through some of the things that we saw there?
First of all, you were worried that Jackson wouldn't make it through the whole thing.
I was, yeah. I didn't know how long the show was going to be. It was probably 2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did really well. He was quite happy. He enjoyed the whole thing. Yeah.
And you asked him at the intermission, "Are you ready to go?" And he said loud and clear, "No."
Oh, he shook his head and he made it very clear that no. I asked him as well, "Are you scared?" And he made that clear as well. No, not scared. I took a picture and it looks like he's terrified. And I think we had a similar thing with you. We took you to a volleyball game when you were very little, and we were like, "Oh gosh, he hates it." And it was like, "No, you didn't want to go either." And it's just, I think it's just so overwhelming. And he said, like, the music was really loud, the lights were really bright, and for a 4-year-old who's not experienced anything like that, and he's been to Georgetown games where they have screens, but WWE is a totally different type of thing. But no, he loved it. He definitely didn't want to leave.
Yeah, it's perfect that the screen's smaller, not as big as usual because it's a house event.
Mm-hmm.
There's no barricades, there's no extra lighting and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like too bright, and yeah, it's not like they prepared all of their workers on that thing. It's like
It was. I'm gonna say our last WWE event was actually the pay-per-view in Philadelphia.
yes,
I'm trying to remember. Was it Judgment Day?
Battleground.
Oh, Battleground. I'm sorry. And it had the Punjabi prison match.
Yes.
So we're coming from quite a big match, something that was a much smaller arena. I'm not sure the capacity of Eagle Bank, which is the home of George Mason University, but certainly a lot smaller than what the home for the Philadelphia Flyers is. I think the Wachovia Center, I think that one is.
Wells Fargo.
Oh, Wells Fargo. Wrong letter. It's still a banking company. But yeah, Wells Fargo. So yeah, it definitely felt like you were, even on nosebleed seats, it was close, a lot closer than we've been previous ones. Do you want to talk about some of the matches?
Well, first, I was so excited. I said in the car, that would be really cool if we saw Bobby Roode. The first person to come out, Bobby Roode.
It was, and I wasn't sure. It's so close to WrestleMania. It's a house show. I wasn't sure who was going to come out. And then not just Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal as well, who's been they've had a rivalry a lot recently. And then I was wondering, are they going to bring Randy Orton out as well? And they just stuck with those two. But it was really cool to see that. Jackson knows that glorious song as well.
Yeah.
I tried to get him to sing it later in the interview. He doesn't, but he says a little bit. Be prepared if you are listening. The sound at the end, he goes very high, and he doesn't understand volumes and things like that. But yeah, cool match. We got to see exactly, and I said, what I want to see is, I want to see that glorious DDT.
Yes.
And we got exactly that. The Singh brother was out there trying to interfere. Didn't make any difference. If I remember correct, Bobby ducked out of the way. Jinder hit one of the Singh brothers, and he was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And then, of course, the distraction led to the glorious DDT. So yeah, they brought the big guns out pretty quickly for match 1. My other match I wanted to talk about, match 3, they brought out another one I wanted to see. Usos. We love the Usos.
Yes.
We'd seen them before. They were really good in that Battleground match that we talked about. I think that was against the New Day, who we hate. But this was against the Bludgeon Brothers, who we love. And they didn't have their hammers with them today, which I thought was kind of strange for this one. But yeah, so we got 2 really big matches early on. Do you want to talk a little bit about that match?
Well, first of all, Bludgeon Brothers got disqualified, and it was also a title match.
It was, and I think we knew straight away, as soon as they announced that obviously the Usos are going to retain them.
Yeah,
because they're not going to have that switch in a house match. That's just very rare for things like that to happen, which is why I didn't have high expectations for it either. I was like, they're not going to bring out all the big names for this. The only other name I wanted to talk about in the very last match, they brought out AJ Styles. Now, I'd heard he was injured, which is why he wasn't on SmackDown last week, so nice to confirm that he was available for that. He was dancing around the ring a little bit. He was with the New Day, and I can't stand the New Day, but they did bring out all the people. The only big name that I didn't really see there was Charlotte, to be honest, and it was talked about that she probably would appear in that one. But we did get to see Natalya, Naomi, Becky Lynch,
Baron Corbin.
and Baron Corbin. So they had some really big names. That was pretty much all I wanted to add.
Yeah, but they didn't bring Randy either.
They didn't bring Randy either, but there was still a lot of people. In terms of people I wanted to see, that would have probably been, Charlotte would have been the only one that wasn't there, if I could have handpicked the talent for that.
And during the intermission, they were playing Undertaker's music. Everyone went bonkers. They were trying to rush in there, seeing if it was actually Undertaker coming out.
Including you. And I was like, come on, they're not going to bring Undertaker out to a house match. And it wasn't. It was just a promo, but it was really funny to actually see that. The other thing I thought was really funny is how many people were carrying around those Money in the Bank things. They were like $95 as well. Now, I've seen people carrying the belts around, and some of those can be $200-$300 as well, from what I've seen on the shop. But yeah, carrying around the Money in the Bank container, I don't know. That seemed a kind of a weird one for me. Now, we did actually get some merchandise, and I did talk with Jackson about this, and I probably should. So the money we saved on the fees, not paying that, we heard there were some autographs available, so do you want to say which autograph I got for you?
I got the house that AJ Styles built, AJ Styles.
And it's a great picture, and it's a big autograph. And we tried to get Nakamura. That's the one we're also looking for. So we went to one more stand as we were leaving, and they didn't have Nakamura, but they did have John Cena. So 16 times champion. So that was actually Jackson's first autograph that he had. So that's a pretty hard one to beat from now on. That was his first autograph. Although your first autograph was Sanjay Dutt, so that was a pretty big autograph as well at the time. So obviously not as big as John Cena, but in terms of where we were at an independent wrestling event. So Sanjay Dutt was a big person for that.
But I got a T-shirt and a photo with him, and I got to meet him. So
that is true.
I'm still pretty happy with that.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. That was still very cool.
That then just get a picture and an autograph from John Cena.
Okay, in our second match, we have This Week in Wrestling News. Now, this one, we actually went to the cinema for the first time as well. Or Jackson went to the cinema for the first time. And as we were leaving, we saw Ronda Rousey on in a bar. You could see them showing. We couldn't see what they were talking about. And once I came home, of course, it was all over Twitter. She was actually on the ESPN radio show with Golic and Wingo. And she was asked a question by Mike Golic. And it was a pretty reasonable inquiry from Golic about, is it likely she's going to go back to MMA? And she totally turned it around and was very defensive. And she's like, I never said anything like that. And so he actually asked her again, is there a possibility that you could go back in time? And she totally misinterpreted that question. She thought he was asking her, are you capable of time travel? Now, I have no idea why she would think that for 1 second. But Ronda Rousey is definitely not any of those people who can travel back in time. And her answer was, I do not have the ability to go back in time, no. Oh dear. It was a nightmare. It was all very embarrassing. And obviously she still has some work to do. I'm still excited to see her in the ring. But yeah, she clearly got upset just by what was a pretty ordinary question. Rather than, so is there a possibility you could go back in time? Rather than, is there a possibility you could go back in time? Anyway, before we do our third match... So, although Ronda Rousey is not capable of going back in time, our first ever guest is actually somebody who's capable of travelling forward in time. We got Matt Willis, who's in England. So, Matt, it's actually Thursday right now in England. I believe it's good morning to you in England. Is that correct?
Good morning to you, Graham, and good morning to you too, Mason.
It's Friday, right?
It is Friday here, yes.
It is Friday. So, Matt and I actually know each other from a British radio show called Fighting Talk, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And we're both fans of that show. The other thing we have in common, I don't think I realised before, or I'd forgotten about, we're both Liverpool fans as well.
Yes, we are, yes.
Yeah, both big, I guess, soccer fans for our American audiences, but football audiences certainly for our English audiences. So, Matt, do you want to tell us a little bit about your wrestling background? Like, how long you've been watching wrestling? What do you watch? Favourite wrestlers? Give us a little bit of info.
Well, I started watching wrestling late 2000s. The first event I remember watching was Armageddon in 2000, the infamous six-man Hell in a Cell match.
Okay.
And then, of course, my first WrestleMania after that was obviously WrestleMania X7, which is still, by most people, including my opinion, the best WrestleMania that's ever happened.
And I think Mason and I are probably going to agree with you on that one, right?
I disagree.
Oh, you disagree? Okay, what's your favourite WrestleMania then?
WrestleMania 22.
Favourite wrestler, Matt?
Currently, my favourite wrestler's Finn Balor. It's something about his style, and the fact that he has two personas. I love the fact that you can just switch it on and switch it off, and also, I mean, his entrance. If you can get your entrance down right,
yes.
The whole crowd doing the whole arm thing as well. It's brilliant.
And Jackson does that one as well. We play that one in the car. He does that one. He likes Bobby Roode's, and I would say we like Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance as well. I think that's an impressive one.
He does John Cena.
And of course he does John Cena as well. But yeah, if you can get that entrance right, I think that can definitely make all the difference. All right, so this was the third match. This is the best moments from Raw in Cleveland, Ohio, and this is where your grandparents are from as well, Mason. And we've definitely been to this place as well. This is from the Q, and we actually went to see LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers the year they actually won the NBA championship. So yeah. I'm sure you remember that one, right?
Yes.
All right, so do you want to start us off then? What was your third moment then from Cleveland?
Oh, my number 3 moment was when Cena AA's Kane through a table.
Okay, so this was actually the last match then, right? This was the one they talked about last week when he called out Undertaker. And you actually did. This was actually the 4th moment. And not only did he mimic that, he also mimicked other Undertaker things. He did the line across the throat. And yes. So anyway, yeah, so you got 1 moment straight away. All right, do you want to talk about your 2nd moment?
Bo Dallas says that The Miz is a little puny loser without the Miztourage.
I thought that was kind of funny as well. I did like that. And he was like, what did you say? And he was like, yeah, nothing.
And then... what is Matt, do you know the relationship between Curtis Axel and Mr. Perfect? Because Miz said in some amount of days he would be better than Mr. Perfect with his Intercontinental Championship reign.
Yes, he's his son.
Oh,
I didn't know that. See, this is why we have Matt on, because we've been bluffing at this stuff for weeks now and embarrassing ourselves, but we actually did a few little practice conversations with Matt. Matt's the most patient person I know. We've had such technical difficulties trying to record this, and then we figured out I could do it on my phone. And whenever we mention something, Matt will come in with a fact. It's like, whoa, how does he know this? For English listeners, he's like Stato. For American listeners, he's like Tony Reale on... Pardon the interruption. He comes in and comes up with little facts like that. So we certainly appreciate you with all these facts that you've got, Matt.
Happy to help.
That one wasn't in the top 10, actually. I enjoyed listening to that as well, but no, that didn't get a mention. But no, I thought it was lovely to see Miz's reaction to that. All right, do you want to give us your number 1 moment then?
Kurt Angle walks out and the chants go, "You suck."
Yeah, and I don't know why you picked that as your number 1 moment. That happens every week. It's been happening for years. If I had to watch this and I heard this was the number 1 moment, I would have been like, this sounds like a really bad episode of Raw. And I think me and Matt both thought it was a pretty good episode of Raw. But now you got some fact about this, right, Matt?
I do indeed. It first started, the actual You Suck chant started in 2000 and it started end of 2001, beginning of 2002, and it was really made famous by Edge, who convinced the crowd to chant "You Suck" every time the music went duh, 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 duh. That's when it started, and it was picked up. And ever since 2002, that music plays, it happens.
It does.
But in 2005, because he was playing a real evil character at the time, Angle, he was even playing a stalker character, very dark in places. He actually got Eric Bischoff, the Raw general manager, to bleep out the fans chanting "You Suck."
So he went duh duh, but it was like bleep bleep. Oh, they just did the whole thing. Oh wow.
Yeah. I would play that to you over the air, but it would be
copyright. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out that. We haven't risked that. And I have heard some podcasts, they play like minute sections of matches, and I'm like, I'm sure you know. Yeah, we're not going to risk getting in. I don't want to get Mason into trouble. He'd probably get away with it. He's 10. He can't go to jail. It's his podcast, right?
I would, yeah, of course it is podcast.
All right, so that was you're not surprisingly that didn't make the top 10. I'm not sure, but I can pretty guess that didn't make the top 100 moments this week. But anyway, of course, it's what you like the most. Anyway, go on ahead, Mason.
Here, so I thought it wasn't that good of a Raw. And so I just needed a number 1 moment, and I was waiting on that moment for a good retreat, so I used that moment.
So rather than using your number 2 moment as your number 1, and then putting that as your number 3 moment, but okay. Matt, you've got to bring some credibility to the show now. Can you actually give us 3 realistic moments that actually were good in the show? Do you want to start off with your number 3 moment?
Absolutely. My number 3 moment is the look on Alexa Bliss's face when she tried the cheap shot Nia Jax.
Absolutely.
The look of sheer terror on her face. It was so well played. She is the perfect person to play the scaredy cat heel.
Yep.
Because she literally hits her once. The look of just pure
horror.
Dread. Like, oh my god. I have just angered the beast incarnate.
And she got out of that ring pretty quickly, and not just that, she got up that ramp pretty quickly. And that was the only option. You can't have them two fighting, because they're going to fight, obviously, at WrestleMania as well, so she had to get out there quick. But I agree with you. I thought that was a great moment. And I'm afraid to say, I don't think that made the moments either. I don't think there was... the moment was mentioned, it got number 7. It said Bliss attacks Nia, so they talked about that, but they focused more on the fact that they hit her rather than the reaction, which I think is the wrong part of that. It was the reaction that sold that whole event. All right, your number 2 moment then, Matt.
My number 2 moment actually comes from the 205 Live section, which is the ending to the Cruiserweight Tag Team match, where Ali got the blind tag and hit the 054 splash. Beautiful move, but again, it's all about setting the story ready for the Cruiserweight Championship match at WrestleMania, of course.
Absolutely.
Building up to it. It was just, I'm a big fan of the high flying style, so it's when you see an 054, you're like, oh my days, I cannot believe someone could do that close. Can you get out?
He was very close to the ring post when he did it.
You do that, if you mess up, you ain't coming back from it.
No, you're going to knock yourself out. Now, I'm talking about this. Mason has no idea what we're talking about right now, because this actually wasn't, we talked about this last week. We watched on Hulu, and they edited it down a little bit. So that actually wasn't on there. The reason I saw it was, I think it was number 9 moment, so it made the top 10. But yeah, I thought that was a really nice looking move as well. I like to see those, the acrobatic moves those guys do. Alright, let's move on to your number 1 moment then.
The number 1 moment to me is Ronda Rousey taking apart Absolution single-handedly, especially Sonya Deville.
Yep.
And my reason for this is because Sonya Deville has a certain amount of martial arts background.
She does.
I believe she was actually in the UFC at some point. Ronda Rousey destroying single-handedly obviously gives her credibility, because obviously she hadn't actually had a match until WrestleMania comes about. So single-handedly taking apart 2 women at once who have been holding their own in the women's division gives her massive credibility.
It does.
I also liked it because at the same time it made the moment itself almost, well, who's going to step up to her now? Because she's been building up to Sonya Deville, but now she's now on the pedestal up here, and she can't go anywhere but down from there. And that, unless you win the Raw Women's Championship, there is nowhere for her to go now.
Now, this is where Mason gets to chime in a little bit. Go on, Mason. I know you're dying to say this. Go on.
So, before, I don't know what podcast, what episode it was.
It's one of the first ones. I think it's when Ronda came out and pointed to the sign, I think.
I called it and said Ronda would face Sonya Deville at a future event.
Correct, because you noticed their MMA background. And I didn't even think of it at that point, and I was really impressed. So, no, as soon as he came on, he was really happy with that. Now, that actually got the 3rd best moment, and I was kind of surprised. I thought that would have been higher as well. Possibly, once I read number 1, you can sort of see why it's that one, but anyway. I was saying Mandy Rose, is that who she could have broken her arm, I think, if Kurt Angle hadn't have been there, but yeah, I thought it was a good one. Alright, let me read out just the top 7. Bliss attacks Nia, because you had that one, Matt. Number 6, Strowman deals with Sheamus. I wasn't really into that one this week. I didn't really care. I don't care who his partner's going to be at WrestleMania. I don't want him to have a partner at WrestleMania, personally. Number 5, Sasha Bailey had a locker room brawl. So finally it finally heated up, and then he started laying into each other, which sets that match up perfectly for WrestleMania as well. Number 4, you called this one. This was Cena chokeslams Kane after he was mimicking all the Undertaker's moves. Number 3 was yours, Matt. Ronda with Absolution. Number 2, F5 onto the steps from Roman Reigns. Onto Roman Reigns. So that was actually the first thing that happened at the start. And Brock Lesnar was there again. Shocker. I'm going to say, we didn't think he was going to be there anymore, and suddenly he came in. And the number 1 moment was the AA through the table. Now, I didn't have to do my moments this week, but I did note down a few things that you guys sort of avoided. One of the things was that Bailey and Sasha thing. And also the Performance Center as well. It actually showed you Triple H and Stephanie getting ready for that match. Now, talking about credibility, I've been doubting Stephanie McMahon for a long time. I was like, how is she going to cope with Ronda Rousey? She's an Olympic medalist. She was UFC champion. And then actually looking at their workout, I don't know how much of that was legit, but I'm more impressed now. And same with Triple H as well, because I was like, he's not going to be able to beat Kurt Angle, but I'm like, he actually looked impressive as well. So let's
not forget that both Stephanie and Triple H are both former world champions.
Sure.
Stephanie is a former women's champion.
She is.
And Triple H obviously has won over a dozen world championships.
Sure. Not to disrespect Stephanie, and we don't like to talk about a lady's age, but I'm pretty sure she's older than me. And I'm pretty sure Ronda Rousey's at her sort of peak as well, so there's a big mismatch there.
Although one point I would like to make about Stephanie is that she never defended her championship in a clean match.
Oh, but of course, and that will probably what's going to happen at WrestleMania. There's going to be some sort of cheating thing happening there anyway. Alright, let's move on to our 4th match, which is, are you smarter than a 4th grader? So once again, I got a break from it this week. Matt offered to do a quiz, and I was like, sure, great, I'm on spring break this week, I can do that. And then Matt twisted the tables on me and said, well, actually, it's going to be a quiz for both of you. And then he added in the extra line, because it's really difficult. So I thought Matt had listened to all our episodes. I try and cherry-pick questions a little bit. I want to give him a chance. I think you've forgotten as well, we normally dumb things down a little bit over here as well, Matt. We always try to get those nice, easy questions in. But go on. So tell me what this quiz is about and how it's all going to work.
It's loosely tied to WrestleMania. It's like bits here and there, you know, tenuous pegs like we do on Fighting Talk.
Sure. Go ahead and go on. Bring on question 1. I think we're ready for this.
And the good thing is that you two can confirm. Okay, here we go. Right, first question. How many Englishmen have won the WWE or WWE World Championship? 0, 1, 2, or 3?
Thank you. It's multiple choice.
All right, it is multiple choice. I'm thinking straight away. Now, I just watched some New Japan for the first time this weekend, and I saw Zack Sabre win the Japan Cup. I know he's English, but I'm really struggling right now to think of any.
It would be something like mind-blowing, like...
I can't think of anybody. I'm really trying to think of anybody who would stand out who's English. Now, the only thing I can think of is somebody who was, like, born in England and then moved to America like you are. And if he's played a trick on us like that, then we're in big trouble. I'm thinking I want to say 1, because he's probably somebody we missed, who's just going to be, and we're like going to go, oh, of course, what about that? But I'm going to put it onto you. What do you think, Mason?
I'm going 1, 2, yeah.
And all right, we have no idea who the one person is, Matt, but we're going to say 1. It better not be 0.
You should have got anything 0.
It is 0. Okay, so that's why we couldn't think of one, because there wasn't one. So we got it and we talked ourselves out of it. Well, that's a terrible start. But all right, go ahead. Question 2, Matt.
Which of these former women's champions are not Hall of Famers? Beth Phoenix, Alundra Blaze, Victoria, and Jacqueline.
Okay, my thought is it's the third one.
The first 2 are definite Hall of Famers, I know that.
Number 1, I wasn't sure. Number 2 definitely is. Number 4, I'm pretty sure she might have even got inducted last year. I think actually, I think Jacqueline was 2017. I'm thinking it's the third one then. I can't remember who the third one was. Victoria, was it?
You Victoria. Is that a joint decision?
Are we happy with that one then, Mason?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going with Victoria.
Correct.
Hey, high five. Woo, we got 1. All right. There was a part of worrying me, like, if we get 0, this is going to be really bad. Okay, we got 1. We're good.
You're on the board.
Right. I was hoping he was going to give us some easy ones like Trish Stratus and Lita, because I was like, I know those 2 definitely are.
Victoria should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's another story entirely. And 3 is the road to WrestleMania begins at the Royal Rumble. Which of the following has won the most Royal Rumbles? Okay. The Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock.
All right, now we actually, I'm going to say, we haven't watched like every WrestleMania, but what we did do on the network is, he really likes Royal Rumble. We actually started watching all the Royal Rumbles. Now, I don't know how far we got, but we certainly watched at least the first 10, I would say. And we probably watched some other ones after that as well. So we have a chance for this one. My first thought actually was Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
I thought, didn't he win back-to-back ones? Or was that, oh no, actually Stone Cold won back-to-back ones. Because I heard that on his podcast recently. I wish we could phone a friend or make this a 50-50. But then, would Michaels have won 3? That's why he has such a good reputation. I think, as soon as I heard Michaels, I thought Michaels straight away. I'm going Shawn Michaels.
Stone Cold.
Better not be Stone Cold.
I'll give you the amount they've won. Shawn Michaels has won 2 Royal Rumbles. John Cena has won 2 Royal Rumbles.
Really? Wow.
The Rock has won 1. Stone Cold Steve Austin has won 3.
Oh!
How many times has The Rock gone one-on-one with Hulk Hogan in the WWE? 1, 2, or 3?
Okay, now my question is as well, is it just listed as Hulk Hogan, or does that include things like Hollywood Hulk Hogan? Are we just talking about the character?
Hollywood Hulk Hogan, whichever
okay,
you want to go.
That's fine.
It must be a one-on-one match.
Okay, I got you. So the multiple choice was 1, 2, or 3 then, right? Is that what I heard? Okay. All right, I think I know this one, Mason, so you're definitely going first.
I don't even remember a match. I'm guessing he's gonna have him one at WrestleMania, something like that. One just at a random Raw. I'm going 3.
All right, I think it's just 1. I know there's definitely one at WrestleMania, and it could be the regular matches as well. I'm just going 1. Mason's going 3.
The answer is 2.
Oh! We should have realised that one. Oh well.
WrestleMania 18
Yep.
had the match of the year. It was a fantastic match. It was the match which brought Hulkamania back to WWE.
All right, I think we're on to question 5 then, Matt.
Question 5. How many matches at WrestleMania has Vince McMahon won?
So if his team won as a manager, that still counts as well. So it's a most is 6, and then the least is 0. So you got to pick a number between 0 and 6.
No, I'm not going 6.
And you're picking first, and I'll tell you right now, I have absolutely no idea.
I know he lost to Shane in one match.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to be something like 4. I'm going to guess 4, and it's going to be 3. I'm going 2.
And I said I was going to go with 3, which is why I was laughing, because I'm thinking it's probably going to be 50. He's not going to win all the time, but I'm thinking at least half of the time. I'm going 3.
Vince McMahon has never won a WrestleMania.
What? Oh, wow. We weren't even close. All right, last question, Matt, and I know I'm 1 point behind Mason as well, so.
What was significant about the street fight about Vince and Shane at WrestleMania 17?
Okay, you better let me go first on this one. He just put his hand up, so he already knows this one. All right, I'm gonna have to admit defeat on this one. I honestly don't remember at all. That Mason, it looked like you knew what it was. He suddenly doesn't look as happy as he did a few moments ago, so I don't think he does remember. All right, Mason, you got an answer? Because this one's not even multiple choice, so you either know this one or you don't know it.
That was a different one, where Shane pulled Vince's pants down and made Shawn Michaels kiss it.
Yes, that was WrestleMania 22.
Okay. I thought that might have been 17. Vince McMahon jumped off a ladder into Shane and got him in a trash can.
Alright, he doesn't know, Matt. He's won anyway. Go on, tell us the answer, please.
It was significant because it was the first time that WCW and WWF at the time had ever gone one-on-one in a match.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't think we need to know the score, Mason. You won. I'm going to give you that one. I should have just worked with you as a tag team, shouldn't I? Really? But okay. In our 5th match, we have our best moments from SmackDown, which was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, I've actually been to this stadium as well, Mason, because I went to see the Penguins at not last Christmas, the Christmas before, against the Hurricanes, who we're actually going to go and see tomorrow playing the Washington Capitals. So it all comes around full circle. All right, do you want to start off with your 3rd moment then?
So my 3rd moment is Shinsuke brought AJ out to show how he's going to beat him at WrestleMania.
And the original setup was he asked AJ to come out and help defend him because it was facing his opponent. Who's he facing?
Shelton Benjamin.
Shelton Benjamin, and then before he had Chad Gable on the outside. So yeah, he said he wanted him to protect him, but actually he just wanted to show him how good he was.
So also that comes in with it, Shinsuke, he's about to do a Kinshasa on AJ, then he stops, pats him on the head. And then I'm thinking there's a heel turn there. With you have 2 faces in WrestleMania, I think you need to bring one heel really quickly.
And if you'd have picked that was actually the number 2 moment. But anyway, you didn't pick that one. So that didn't get anything in at all. But yeah, the whether he didn't do the Kinshasa was actually the number 2 moment. All right, number 2.
So Sunil Singh, he can't compete because he has whatever.
He's injured, yeah.
He's injured. And so Rusev comes out, and that's Jinder Mahal's new and old partner.
So who was they facing in that match then, Mason?
They were facing Bobby Roode and Randy Orton.
Okay, and that also didn't get in the mention at all. So, all right, you're doing really well so far. So what was your number 1 moment?
My number 1 moment was when Tyler Breeze, he's chasing Ziggler outside the ring. And then Ziggler is chasing Fandango, and then they keep running. Ziggler jumps into the ring, and Fandango keeps going around.
And this is actually one of the things I talked to Jackson about later. This was actually at our WWE Fairfax event, Matt. It was actually, instead though, it was Ty Dillinger. So they'd actually already practiced that, so we got to see that ahead of time, and Jackson actually said it was his favourite moment at all. He said, I like the guy running around the ring. He thought it was funny, because he was totally out of breath at the end. I liked it, because we'd seen it before, and actually that didn't get a top 10 moment either, but I don't know, we like the comedy moments more than I think the purists do. Alright, Matt, let's go ahead. What were your top 3 moments? Start us off with your 3rd moment.
Promo for Charlotte Flair versus Asuka for WrestleMania. I have not been excited for a women's title match in a long time. I mean, you've got Charlotte Flair, who is probably going to headline WrestleMania one day.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got the woman who has never been beaten in the other corner. The winner of the first ever Women's Rumble. I called it as soon as she was announced for the Rumble, she was going to win it. Because I thought, they're not going to have her lose, but she's been
Correct.
out of Raw before, and it doesn't count towards her losses and things like that. But you can tell how much they've been protecting the streak, because I don't know if you've been catching into the Mixed Match Challenge at all.
We haven't been watching that, no.
Asuka teamed with Miz in it, and she was up against Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss.
Uh-huh.
And the whole thing was about her not wanting Miz to be beaten by Strowman because it would lose her streak.
Ah.
It was really pushing it the whole time. She was actually screaming, "My streak! My streak!" And literally, and at one point she even tagged herself in so Braun couldn't pin it. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Now, that didn't get a mention either, but I think that's probably because that was I think that was probably the first week after it happened, when she came and pointed to the sign. I think that's probably when that probably got a bigger mention. All right, what was your second moment? And it's kind of a similar one to Mason's, but you phrased yours slightly differently, I believe.
For me, it was the moment when Rusev was actually added to the US title match at WrestleMania, because having the triple threat match between Jinder, Orton, and Bobby Roode, it really wasn't inspiring me. But when you add in that wild card of new draftee Rusev, all of a sudden, every day is Rusev Day.
I think the Rusev Day is over, but the Rusev character is not. And this is the one that I disagree with you on. This was the one that I hated. I couldn't stand this. I'm fed up of having so many people in a match. SmackDown just had 6 people in one of their championship matches, and it's too many. And now they've added 4 people. I was okay with 3. I like the stalemate at the last SmackDown that we saw with all 3 of them together. But 4, I'm done with 4. I'm sure Aiden English is going to come out, and I can't stand Aiden English either. So that's another element that I don't like. But you did get the 5th best moment for this one. All right, give us your last moment then from SmackDown.
That was General Manager Daniel Bryan announcing that the tag match between him and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
And I know you had a pat on the back earlier, Mason. I think this is where I get a pat on the back, because I think I called this one last week as well. This one was kind of an obvious one. I think we saw it coming, but it had to be done. And WWE agreed with you, Matt. They gave that the number 1 moment, so...
The only thing about that is that Shane McMahon actually was legitimately hospitalised while on holiday in Panama. He's not medically cleared for WrestleMania.
When I first read that on Twitter, it wasn't known if that was legitimate or just a storyline they were playing. So.
It certainly seemed legitimate because he was rushed by ambulance to hospital in Panama, and it's not a good sign.
Okay. So the actual top 5 was... Well, actually, I have the top 7 for some reason. 7 was an RKO to Rude, and then Rusev with a pin on Randy Orton. So you had the right match, but just the wrong moment. Number 6, Becky Lynch pins Ruby Riott. Number 5 was Rusev added, which Matt picked earlier. Number 4 was the Kinshasa by Nakamura. Number 3, Bludgeon Brothers come in with their mallet. Number 2, Nakamura does not do a Kinshasa to AJ Styles, even though 2 seconds before you called, oh look, he's going to do a Kinshasa to AJ Styles, and he didn't, so I kind of like that he didn't do that. Oh, your memory must be going. Number 1 was Daniel Bryan announces a tag team match, which Matt got on that one. Alright, in our 6th match, we have Tweet of the Week. And this is from Braun Strowman, who's at Braun Strowman. At Wendy's, you're killing me. 3 times in 2 weeks we have stopped for grilled chicken, and they don't have any ready. At Alexa Bliss _WWE is trying to keep me calm while we're filming #ride along. I wait, I'm starving, and someone might #get these hands. So we just talked about Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss. I know we're big Alexa Bliss fans as well. I thought that was kind of funny, but actually the tweet that I liked even better was Wendy's response to this. We are incredibly sorry. Please do not flip the store upside down. Considering he's flipped almost everything else, pianos, cars, ambulances, trucks. I thought that was a pretty funny response to that one.
That's just so funny.
It was. In fact, he did it in character. I mean, a lot of people saying, is the stuff on social media in character? Is it not at times? I just think that, I mean, we know Braun Strowman isn't the monster among men outside the ring in real life. We know. At the same time, you wouldn't want to be in a dark alley.
No, definitely not. No, I thought they played that really well. The one I was tempted to also, and you just talked about the real life and the non-real life ones. Paige got into some trouble this week for some of the things she was posting on social media. People were saying you should keep your political views out and things like that. So yeah, he stayed in character, and that is one of the arguments. Should they actually stay in character, or should they be allowed to be their own person on there as well?
Be their own person.
But that's probably a discussion for another day. Let's move on to our 7th match. This was our moments from NXT. So Mason, do you want to start us off? We don't have a top 3 for this, but what were your moments that you wanted to talk about?
EC3 walks out. We saw EC3. We got his autograph.
We did.
So that's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
We got him before he went to NXT.
Correct. This was at, I think, AIW in Cleveland over Christmas. He was actually dressed up as
Sid
Vicious, correct, because Sid Vicious didn't turn up. But yeah, we had a meet and greet with him for $5. We got a picture, autograph, had a little chat with him. Really cool guy.
Yes.
So I thought that was cool. Is there anything else you want to add specifically about this? Because I do if you don't.
And, yeah, William Regal, he's talking to EC3, and he said he will be the first contestant in the 6-man ladder match for the
North American title. Correct. Now, the thing that we want to point out is, because I know we have people who listen to us for our Nova Pro reviews as well. One of the characters in that, Logan Easton LaRoe, who's been doing a character called, based on the fact that he's in the gated community, and he does the 1%, and he lifts up one finger, and we talked about this in our last review. He must have been a little upset to see this, because EC3 pretty much copied that whole character. The only thing that wasn't different was, he comes out with his sweater tied around his neck. EC3 didn't have his suit tied around his neck, he was wearing a suit, but yeah, there was definitely a lot of repeat stuff going on with that one. Okay, did you have anything else you want to add on NXT?
Cena almost totally destroys Aleister Black. And Aleister Black, he's undefeated, I recall, in singles match.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said on the podcast before, I'm thinking they're going to bring Aleister Black into the WWE for the 50-man challenge and win it, but I don't know now. He's had a pretty good storyline with Cena Almas. I think he might beat him up, win the championship, drop it, go to WWE. And
that one's going to come up in a few days' time as well, just before WrestleMania. That's going to be NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Okay. All right, Matt, what were your takes from NXT this week?
Well, this is something that may shock you. That was my first ever watch of NXT.
Oh, it was? Okay, well, we've only been watching for, I think, about 3-4 weeks now.
I mean, I watched it back in the days when it was the whole goofy reality show sort of thing when they first debuted the Nexus and thing back in 2010 and stuff. I didn't really watch it a great deal. I knew of what was happening in NXT because I watched like other YouTube channels and things like that and keep track of it. This is the first time I've watched an episode in its entirety and I can see why it is so popular.
Absolutely. We saw people talking on Twitter about how the takeover events are so good. And we watched one and we're like, oh, it is really good. And I think that's what got us to start watching some of the other ones. And I prefer it more than SmackDown right now.
But the thing that really got my attention was that, first of all, I'm a massive fan of William Regal.
Yes.
One of the great men to have never won a world championship.
Absolutely.
But the thing is that literally the first thing he comes out is it says the NXT North American Championship. Now, North American Championships have a massive history in America, obviously.
Yes.
And the UK Championship has had so much prestige bestowed upon it already by the Bruiserweight, Pete Dunne. It can only go further forward. I mean, I've come in very late to watching the Dusty Rhodes Classic, but Pete Dunne just looks at home in that ring.
Yeah.
And the Author of the Pain, I've been a fan of Paul Ellering ever since I was younger, but it was just so well told, the stories and the camera angles and Mauro Ranallo on the commentary and Nigel McGuinness on the commentary. It just works. It just all works. So what I also like is because when you think about NXT, you then think about the entire women's roster now. How many people on the women's roster have not come from NXT?
Oh, it's not many. Yeah, it's been prolific. They moved so many up that they had trouble even having a women's roster at one point. They moved so many up at once. Yeah.
But I think you look at all. I mean, Ember Moon getting in that massive at the Performance Center, no less.
Yeah.
That was a massive thing to see in my point of view. And yeah, You know what I want to do? I want to watch next week and see what happens.
Absolutely.
I want to watch it. So,
and we felt the same. And the only moment I actually had written down was, because we've been following this story for 3 weeks now, and we talked about it in the last few podcasts. And I think it was pretty obvious. Tommaso Ciampa is going to face Johnny Gargano at NXT New Orleans. That was pretty obvious.
Yes.
In an unsolicited match.
What is that?
They can't approve it. Why they can't approve it, I don't know. Basically, because Johnny Gargano's not in NXT right now. If Johnny Gargano wins, he's back in NXT, and if he loses, then he's gone from NXT. All right, let's move on to our 8th match, which is Podcast of the Week. Now, so far, we've always been picking wrestling podcasts. But seeing as I know Matt through Fighting Talk, it seems like an obvious one for me to choose this week. So our podcast of the week this week is BBC Fighting Talk. Now, for people who are listening from America, this is actually very similar to the show Around the Horn. Contestants are asked questions, they get points for their answers, they get points for punditry, funny comments, and so on. And it's very similar to that show. Fighting Talk's been going on for much longer than that show. Alright, so go follow those guys on Facebook at FT316, and I'm sure you might catch me and possibly Matt there at some point. People basically pose their own questions, and then people answer them. And luckily, the day before we were due to release this, I listened to the Bitter Boys podcast last night, and the co-host Brent Bookhouse mentioned that his dog was called Sasha Barks. And I was like, this is like the perfect Fighting Talk question. So, wrestlers as dogs. So, we only had a few hours to think about this. Mason, do you want to start us off, just so people get a feeling of what Fighting Talk's like? What's your first wrestler as dogs, then?
My first one was Wolfie Riot.
Oh, Wolfie Riot, okay. Go on then, Matt. We're going to go round. We're just going to keep going round until we run out of these.
I've actually gone with Jamie Noble and Kid Cash were the pit bulls.
Okay.
It's not as witchy as Mason's. I've got to think Mason's going to outdo me for witchy ones.
And we also said, because he said Roadhouse Dog, and I said, no, it's got to be something that's a pun as well. So my first one was Paul Bearer. Okay, go on. Next one from you, Mason.
Brock Lesnar.
All right, Matt, back to you.
The NXT wrestler, Alexander Wolf Cub.
Oh, okay. But in America, they'd call a lead a leash. So I went with a leash, a fox. All right, go ahead.
Boney Rude.
Boney Rude, very nice. All right.
There's one there, Roman Reigns, the big dog.
Oh, of course. I got Bobby the Bone Heenan.
I got Mark Henry.
I think Mason's won that one.
All right, I got the Dog Father. That was one of.
I got Stray Wyatt.
Oh, Stray Wyatt. I forgot about that one. And my last one, I'm going to wait for your reaction on this one. I picked Becky Lynch. All right, now, of course, I'm getting nothing from you guys. Becky Lynch, the Lassie Kicker. I wasted my time on that one as well. Oh, well. So definitely go check out those guys. BBC Fighting Talk podcast. It normally comes out on Saturday. And, follow them on Facebook, FT316. And if you've got silly questions like the ones we just asked, go ahead and ask them on there. And I'm sure you'll probably get 100 responses pretty quickly. All right. That concludes our podcast for today. I want to thank Matt for being with us and staying up very late. It's got to be nearly 2 o'clock in England right now. So thank you for doing that, Matt.
Absolute pleasure.
We are available on Twitter at MGB Wrestling Pod. I specifically am available on Twitter at Mr. Bagshaw. And you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, MGB Wrestling Podcast.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Alright, did you want to do a testing 1, 2, 3? Go ahead.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Alright, this is Graham, Daddy, and I'm with Jackson. And we're doing a bonus interview because Jackson actually went to his first wrestling event this weekend. He went to WWE Fairfax. You want to tell us what you can remember, Jackson? What wrestlers did you see there?
I saw Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio. How did you know it was Rey Mysterio?
Because he had his shirt on. And he took it off.
Because he took his shirt off? Did he have a mask?
Yeah, nobody was in it.
Yeah, stay close to the microphone, though.
Daddy, was he in it?
It looked like Rey Mysterio. It was actually Sin Cara, but it did
Daddy,
look
was
like
someone
Rey
with
Mysterio.
him?
Yeah, somebody was inside the mask. Is that what you mean? Okay. Who else did you see? Can you remember any other wrestlers? No. What about, did you see Bobby Roode? What do you mean no? Yes, you did. What does Bobby Roode do? Can you remember when he comes in? Can you remember his song? That's the parallel to have that microphone. Glorious. Can you do the song? What do you mean, no? You were singing it all the other day. Can you sing any other song? No? Alright. What was your favourite bit? The tag team match. You can talk to the microphone. Yeah, it was Breezango, and I don't remember exactly who was on the other team, but yeah. Tyler Breeze was fighting, and who was he fighting against? I don't remember who he was fighting against, actually. I've forgotten now. But also Breezango was on the outside, and they chased Breezango around the ring, didn't they? And you remember? That was your favourite bit, you said. What did Breezango do?
He's still running.
He kept running, didn't he? Yeah, they got back into the ring, and he carried on running. And in fact, if you actually watched SmackDown on Tuesday night, then you actually saw that with Dolph Ziggler playing that part. He wasn't playing that on Sunday when we went. And what else? Did you see any other wrestlers that you knew? Did we see AJ Styles? AJ Styles was there. He was there at the end. And what about New Day? Yeah.
I saw the moon.
You saw the New Day as well, didn't you?
I saw the big picture of the moon.
Yeah, you got to see the screen. And so what did you think then? Was it good? Do you want to go again to another WWE event?
Now go to the old WWE.
An old WWE. Don't put your mouth on the microphone though, silly. That's close. Don't walk off either, because that's too far away. Alright, does that mean we're done with our interview for now then?
No.
No, what else then? I'm trying to think which other wrestlers that you got to saw. We saw Shinsuke Nakamura. Do you remember him? No, you don't remember him? Alright. We got to see Kevin Owens, and we got to see Sami Zayn, but I don't think you know who they are either. Oh, why don't you tell me today, as you have a wrestling shirt on? Who's on your wrestling shirt today?
Randy Orton and John Cena.
Randy Orton and John Cena, yeah. And
Rey Mysterio.
that's not Rey Mysterio. Who's the other person? That looks like Roman Reigns.
Roman
Yeah,
Reigns.
that's Roman Reigns. But I don't think we saw any of those, did we, when we went on Sunday? All right, Jackson. Thank you for giving me an interview. Give me a high five.
I didn't hear mine.
You want to hear it now?
I need to hear
We'll
all
play it
of
back
it.
for you so you can
I need to
listen.
hear all of the people's. I need to hear yours and mine.
All right.
I do have a credit one if you're interested.
Yes.
As we know, WrestleMania has never featured a tag team with DX. Apart from when X-Pac teamed with a Road Dogg. So I'm giving you two straight away at the alphabet there. How many members of DX can you name between you?
No, I was never really a big fan of this, so and I'm not even sure. Is Triple H one?
Yes. D-Generation X?
There are 8 in total, and I've already given you 2. So
Have we talked? Can you give us the two again?
X-Pac, the Road Dogg, and you said Triple H.
Yeah, X-Pac.
Shawn
We
Michaels.
talked about this the other day as
Yeah.
well, because I got the
Shawn
two groups mixed up. Because I thought that Ric Flair was one, but I don't think you said it was. I think I was getting my groups mixed up. I'm going to say Ric Flair.
Ric Flair? No.
So that's a different group then, because I remember Triple H with Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, but that must have been a different group then.
By any chance, is it Ron Simmons?
No.
Oh.
No, that's the APA, but I like what you're thinking there. They were a team, they were part in the corporate ministry, so I like what you're thinking there.
And this was
And you
around
were
the area
close.
when I just started watching, so I'm not as good on this era at all. So I'm getting I think I'm getting my groups mixed up because in my head right now I'm thinking of people like Bautista as well, and it's not him either. That's the totally wrong
You're
group.
thinking of Evolution, yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm getting that wrong group. Yeah, I don't think I really watched it at this point, so I don't think I know any of these. So, yeah, like I say, I don't even remember Road Dogg. So
Okay, well you've got 4. You've got 4 out of 8. So that's not too
trying to
bad.
think if we can think.
Stephanie? Maybe? Like,
Oh, Stephanie's not a bad call. Oh, what about China?
Was part of DX, but I didn't have her on my list. So Grayson actually trumped me on that one. I've forgotten about her.
There you go. There you go. He did this on another podcast this week as well. It said name the name the 2 states that the state and the state capital have the same first letter. And the answers were Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, and Indiana and Indianapolis. And when I asked Mason the question, he came up with Honolulu, Hawaii, which is definitely true as well. So the quizmaster had missed that one as well. So you're doing pretty good this week on that. I came up with China as well, Matt. Is that any good?
Yeah, China's one, yeah.
I suddenly pulled that. I don't know where I pulled that from somewhere. Well, it's probably not, but I'm going to guess Eddie Guerrero just for the fact that they sometimes were together as well. Seems unlikely, but we got 8 guesses anyway.
No, Eddie Guerrero, no.
Nah.
Do you guys tap out at this point?
I think so. I don't know any.
Right, one of them is Hornswoggle.
Oh, we should. Okay,
Oh.
who we saw at Christmas, but I didn't know he was part.
Hornswoggle was part of DX in the late 2000s. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was the official mascot. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I knew that. Right? Yeah. Okay.
One of them, I don't know if I can say this word on your podcast.
We can delete it if necessary.
It was Bad Bleep Billy Gunn.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Of course. Billy. Well, you just Billy Gunn. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And you were so close when you said Rick. The original lineup of DX was HBK, Triple H, Chyna, and Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh, Ravishing Rick Rude. And I don't remember really Rick Rude very well at
Rick,
all.
I thought you were going to get it straight away. I was like, what?